I'm not good in relationships, very bad at listening. You ever do this in a relationship? You ever pop an Adderall and really listen? Hit him with that performance-enhanced listen. Like a Viagra, but for the relationship. Some would say more impressive. What's really more impressive, a hard cock or 45 straight minutes of, Tell me more. I'm dating a very nice woman right now. The other night I come home from a gig. She's in my apartment dressed as a schoolgirl, which, nice gesture, not really my fetish. I picked her because she's an adult. That's a big part of it. Also, she's older than me. She doesn't even look like a schoolgirl. She looks more like a dumbass that got held back 20 years. I'm like, oh, neat, I get to bang a special ed all-star tonight. That's fun. We were sleeping together one night. While we're doing it, I lost my erection. It's a terrible moment. You know what I mean? It just slides out. Like a drunk being asked to leave the bar. And he's like, I'll be back. And everyone's like, I don't know, dude. And she got insecure. She was like, is it me? And I was like, yeah. It's not your fault. You're very attractive. It's just we've done this a lot. You ever try to explain the situation? You make it 10 times worse. I was like, look, the penis is like a guard dog. For a stranger, it's going to go crazy. But with familiarity, it will soften. Yeah. Trying to drink less. It's interesting as you get older, right? In my 20s, I would get wasted. I'd wake up the next morning hungover, like, what did I say to that girl last night, you know? I wake up hungover now, like, did I sign up for Paramount Plus last night with the... And Peacock? Oh my God, I got hammered. I got really drunk at a steakhouse with my friend recently, though, and, a few too many... Life is precious, but so is Walmart, so... You better hope it's not a super Walmart or that baby's toast. Too many options in the super Walmart. You walk in like, I'm gonna get some sporting goods, some groceries, maybe some clothes while I'm here. Then you get to the baby clothes and you're like, shit. You gotta walk up to the register like, one extra bag, please. Yeah, you know. That one always pisses off the environmentalists, but you can't be scared as a comedian. You know, you really gotta... I love that I'm getting applause breaks on dead baby jokes in a room that has a chandelier. This venue has history, and I'm like, you guys want to hear another dead baby joke? Oh, yeah. I do like kids. I have a nephew, he's a cute kid. The other day he goes, Uncle Sam, you want to play a game? I said, you got it. He goes, all right, would you rather? I was like, uh-oh. He goes, would you rather get chased by a grizzly bear or have to swim from a shark? And I was like, if I had to choose, I guess chased by a grizzly bear. And he goes, well, you'd be dead. 5 years old, these are the games they're playing. Then he goes, your turn. I was like, all right, would you rather be a sex slave to a pedo or get chased by a grizzly bear? And he was like, sex slave to a pedo. And I said, I think that's the move for you because you can bounce back from that, you know? Smart kid. I have a niece as well, very young. You hang out with these young kids, you gotta let them pick the movie. So I was like, hey, you wanna watch Pulp Fiction or Django Unchained? It's your choice. And she wanted to watch Sesame Street, classic. I watched it growing up. I feel like these kids shows, when I was young though, they felt a bit more escapist. And now even kids shows, they sneak in the political agenda. They sneak it in, but I catch it. One of the Muppets was like, leaving home is hard. The other one goes, it sure is. And I was like, immigration. Left-wing propaganda for children. Harder to make a Republican kid show, but that's the one I want to see, you know? Big Bird is just like, look, some of these Muppets come here and they rape our women. And I'm scared. And I fear change on Sesame Street. The news is so upsetting now. With the war, it's so violent, so much bloodshed. It really makes you long for the days of Paul Pelosi getting beaten in the head with a hammer. Those were simpler times. We didn't know how good we had. No, not the steakhouse. St. Jude's Children's Hospital. That's the one I'm trying to contest here. You know what a guilty pleasure is when you're drunk? A cigarette. There's something very old-fashioned bad about it. I love it. You got to respect the cigarette smoker. They are slowly killing themselves. You got to give them a nod. Yeah. Look at the dirtbags in this city. I love it. So, cigarettes, there's something more, I don't know, like they do make the vape people look like pussies, don't they? There's something more trustworthy about the cigarettes. You see a detective with a cigarette, he's going to find the missing girl. He's got a vape pen, she's fucking gone. You know, it's... And he's gonna break the news to you while breathing kiwi mango in your face. It's a double bummer. But I'll tell you, the AI scares me. The artificial intelligence, this new tech, it's all crazy. They have wheelchairs now that can be driven by neurological impulses. And I'm like, is that good? I can't control my thoughts. You get very cranky when you're hungry. It must be tough to date a woman in a third world country, I would think. I feel like every boyfriend there is like, this is bullshit. We get to a restaurant, in walks a woman with enormous fake breasts, and you better believe I looked, and she was not happy. My girlfriend, I don't think the woman noticed, but my girlfriend goes, oh, that's what you like? I said, I wish it were that simple. You know, you're better than her, but that's not how it works. You're a Michelin star restaurant, but I'm a man. I see a Panda Express, I look. And then one day you're alone, that's all you eat is Panda Express. And you're like, this ain't good. Single sex is more thrilling, but it lacks a nutritional value. Relationship sex is boring, but it's healthier. It's like a piece of grilled salmon, relationship sex. No one's jazzed to eat salmon, but you finish it and you're like, pretty good. Single sex is Panda Express. You walk in like, this is gonna be excellent. The second it's over, I'm like, I think I'm gonna commit suicide. I think I'm a deeply unhappy man, and tonight's the night I end it all. The night of the one-night stand, I'm filled with passion. The next morning, it's a different story. The night of, I'm like, I'll move to Cleveland for this chick. I don't care. The next morning, I'm like, if she died, it would have little or no impact on my day-to-day. Just be honest here. You ever hook up with someone from another country? That's a different energy, right? I was with this woman from Argentina. Some stuff is lost in translation when this happens. You know, like right before we sleep together, she goes, "This I will surely regret." And I was like, I wonder what that means. You know, it's so interesting to be around other cultures, but I had a one-night stand with a woman once. We're at my apartment. I'm going down on her, and she's taking her time. And not trying to be insensitive, I have legitimate neck concerns, so, you know. The whole time I'm down there, I'm just thinking of all the PT I'm gonna have to do to get back on track. There's resistance band work, it's a whole thing. It was at least 22 minutes because an entire episode of Frasier played in the back. Yeah. And if anyone's wondering, that show does hold up. Yeah, with my mouth I was licking, but with my mind I was like, fucking Niles. That guy is a rascal, an OG legend. And then like 35 minutes in, she just went, I came. No build-up, no no shaking of the leg, just a wooden delivery, I came. You ever watching an indie film and the credits just pop up out of nowhere? I was like, did you just No Country for Old Men me with your cooch? My last breakup, I was very sad. I was very low at a certain point. She broke up with me. She touched my arm to console me as she did it, and I flexed, which definite low point in my life. I don't know if I thought that was gonna change her mind. Like, she's like, wait a second. Can you curl 25 pounds? I'm like, I'm getting there, I'll tell you that much. Here's a little breakup advice. Never look at an ex's social media, ever. Don't do it. Don't. All my exes, they're sending me signals. Like, every post is still clearly for me. You know what I mean? Smiling in a wedding dress. Nice try. Sad. Sad when people can't move on with their life. I was sad after the breakup. My friends were like, hey, you gotta get out there. You gotta get laid. And I was like, hell yeah. I get street when I'm sad. And but then that voice in your head is like, it will make you sad if you do that. I was like, right. But then that voice in my head is like, but you'll do it. And I was like, of course, yeah. I meet this woman. She's beautiful, but she's incredibly vain. She picks out a pretty pricey spot. We go to dinner. While we're having dinner, she actually says this. She goes, you know, my last boyfriend, starting quarterback in the NFL, so, you know. I said, I know what? She goes, I'm a catch. I said, yeah, because he threw you away and I caught you. So you're a catch. And she gave me a look. I said, you're very attractive. She goes, you're just saying that because you're trying to sleep with me. I said, and you're pretty smart as well. So, And she got angry. Started screaming and cursing at me. And then I got hard again. So it could be me. Been on the road a lot. Been traveling like crazy. I missed a gig in Vermont recently. I was flying from Texas to Vermont. I had to connect in Philly. The flight attendants will never admit you're going to miss the connection. I told her, I was like, I'm not going to make this. She goes, trust me. I said, I'm looking at the live update. She goes, I think you'll be okay. I said, all right. So we land in Philly at gate B2. My connection, F32. On my phone, it says we're boarding. So I just held up the phone to show her. She looks at me and she goes, run. Now I'm that lunatic sprinting through the airport. You've seen that guy. You know it's hopeless. I get there just as the door is shutting, and I scream out of breath, please don't shut the door. She looks right at me. I'm so sorry. Right in my face. I said, I really need to get on that flight. And she goes, there's nothing that can be done now that the door is shut. I said, it was you who shut it, though. Please, I've got a gig tonight in Vermont. I really need to make it. She goes, you won't be making that. So I asked her, what do I do? She goes, I get you a flight, Philly, Chicago, Vermont. You land at 10:30 p.m. I said, that doesn't help me. She goes, well, I guess that's your only option. I said, let me think about it. She goes, it's boarding right now. I said, I'll take it. She goes, all right, it's gate B4. So immediately I start sprinting. People saw me who saw me run the other way. It's a humiliating moment. I get on the next flight by an eyelash. I should be grateful, but I'm in the last row middle seat. That's all they had. I'm fuming. I start pounding Bloody Marys. Then I start drinking whiskey. Before I know it, I'm pretty drunk. And I tweet something along the lines of American Airlines, decent airline, didn't appreciate being called Jew boy. Did they actually say this? Look, I didn't hear it verbatim, but they were incredibly rude. I'm not going to rule out anti-Semitism. So I get an email 3 days later. We take claims like this very seriously. We've conducted an internal investigation. In the meantime, please enjoy 7,500 bonus points. Which, sure, I made up the Jew boy thing, but still, 7,500 points for a word that harmful feels like a slap in the face. So I responded, shame on you, anti-Semites. They wrote back, we've decided to give you an additional 7,500 points. I just picture them in the boardroom, like the N-word is worth 25,000. Jew boy, you have to start low because they will haggle with you. So, that's, Which seats, Sam? Let me know. I write they're all good seats. It's the world's most famous arena. She writes, please help me pick. I'm happy to pay top dollar. I'm not good at picking seats. Separate text. Please help me pick seats. If you could help me with choosing the seats, I'd really appreciate it. Just let me know how to pay, okay? No response, followed up with a question mark. I send her another Ticketmaster link, this time to the last row, all the way to the right. They're the furthest seats from me in the entire venue. She writes, these aren't very close, and I respond, neither are we. I really, really wish that's where the story ended. But the big night comes. I'm on stage at the MSG Theater. Things are going well, getting some good laughs. Anytime I do a joke about an ex-girlfriend, though, I hear a voice in the crowd go, hey! Hey! I'm like, that's her stupid voice. One bad decision 17 years ago haunting me on the biggest night of my career. I play with it, I try to